My name is Alexandra. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tinker.it, and we're a consultancy based in London and Milan. One of the things that I found kind of funny in light of being after Saul is that my title had nothing to do with economic situation at the moment, of course, because I wrote that title 4 months ago. But I thought it was interesting to look at what are some of the challenges that we're facing now in terms of the economic situation, but also how an area like hardware and product design is going to experience a really tremendous change in the next couple of months, I think. Has anybody here heard of Arduino? Raise your hand. That's more people who, okay, that's great. If you don't know what Arduino is, I suggest you pick up this month's edition of Wired magazine, because there's a very large article on Arduino, how it was born, how it was made. I will talk a little bit about that, but it's a really great article on, and that discusses some of the aspects of that. One of the things that's interesting about Arduino, it was born in Italy in 2005, and it is essentially a hardware prototyping platform for beginners based on open source hardware, open source software that you can download yourself, and you can essentially build what we're calling interactive objects and environments. And so what that means is that there's this is a plethora of the objects that you may find that are associated with Arduino per se, but there are many others as well. And the people behind it are a group of 5 men from all over the world, from Italy, from the US, and from Spain, who've put this together in the past years and have made this project actually happen. When we say open source, obviously we also mean that there are you're able to download whatever it is that you need, and you're able to use whatever it is that you need. And in the case of hardware, you can download all the CAD files, you can download how the project actually works, the software, and build your own. And so people have the Boarduino, the Freeduino, people have developed shields that augment some of the functionalities of what Arduino does right now, and there's a huge community that's actually building these tools. My background as a designer, I'm not necessarily so much interested in the tools per se, but what they do and what they could mean for product design and for the objects that surround us. Arduino also comes with a philosophy, and the philosophy is to open up the way in which people think about the objects around them, open up the ways in which they think about technology, that they think about how closed or open something should be, and how accessible something should be, something that they have in their hands, be it an iPod, an EEPC, whatever it might be. And right now the community is made up of artists and designers. And now, more and more web developers. What you see here is an image of an Arduino with an Ethernet shield on top of it that is hooked up to the API of the BBC website and is picking up wind speed at the moment. And that little array of LEDs that you see, the line will travel as fast as currently the wind speed is. So suddenly you're hooking up the internet into objects of everyday life. This is the Internet of Things in the making. This is 2 months ago at a workshop that we ran. And so really the Internet of Things is happening through these tools and through these platforms, and also through developers and web developers and Flash developers and everybody having access to them and really building really interesting things. So I will show a little bit, I would show 5 ideas and 5 challenges that we're facing at the moment in this area, where people in the Web 2.0 industry may want to actually get involved or, you know, kind of get their hands dirty. One of the issues is about the scale of the audience. Right now, if you're a total beginner, you go to arduino.cc, you see a platform, you don't know what you can do with it, so you'll Google it. You'll find thousands of projects that people have made that have been 50,000 boards sold as of, you know, whenever, last month. People will talk about what they've done, will not necessarily talk about what they've done on a professional level. So it's very difficult for a beginner to see the value of this tool in being able to do really cool stuff, because the really cool stuff maybe isn't documented that well. And so we find ourselves having to encourage people to document their projects. And how do you do that when actually creative people and designers, architects, whatnot, aren't necessarily so keen about sharing the tools that they used? They're not interested in you knowing that they use an Arduino for a project. They just want you to look at the final piece, go, wow, that's great, I want one of those. And so this idea and this challenge of how do you share and how do you protect an idea is something that's a great challenge for us, because it really is bits and atoms. This is really people building, self-cleaning robots or light-sensitive surfaces for architecture, to any kind of the context in which people are using these tools vary greatly. And so what we're trying to encourage is perhaps an approach where we're looking at the Creative Commons model, perhaps. Again, this is very hypothetical, and I would love to have these conversations with you guys. How do you tell someone, you can say to people what you use as a tool, and that's okay, because it'll encourage them to use that same tool or a similar tool. Or you can perhaps tell them, so for example, if you're an academic or you're a source of reference, you can tell people, hey, ask me questions about this tool. I use it in my work. Or we're a company and we do closed work and we have NDAs and we want to protect our clients, but we want to be able to say, well, we support this platform, or we have used it in the past, but we're not necessarily willing to document everything. Or I'm a student, so I've got a piece of work that I've done for my school or my final project, and I'm willing to share that with you, but it's a little bit clunky and the code might not be so clean. So developing a language around that is going to become really important. The other aspect that I've touched upon is the idea of documentation. And documentation in the world of software is also something that's kind of up to you. But in the case of hardware, it complexifies itself fully, because it's no longer about the code, it's about what are the components you used, what does your breadboard look like, what is, do you have the final images of the final project, a video perhaps? That's a ton of work that most people aren't willing to do. So looking at things like instructables, are there ways in which we can encourage the community itself to really document really fully, and again, show the beginners that there are cool things out there that you can do with those tools. And the other aspect is, the very quintessential Web 2.0 thing of the community. What happens when your community is very much about bits and atoms and problem solving in bits and atoms? At Tinker.it, we organize 2 workshops a month in London. We meet a ton of people. We organize pub meets. There are more and more hacker spaces that are opening up around the world. Much more of these physical spaces that people need to actually sit down with a bunch of things and go, this doesn't work. How does Web 2.0 kind of enable that to happen also virtually? And then also with, this is 2008, fabbing at home is not that far away. What happens when manufacture is really easy? This is the Arduino, which is an Arduino clone that's made in Korea, and this sells for $27.50, and the Arduino sells for $34. Is this a Walmart of these platforms? So these are all points of conversation. I really do hope you come and see me today. I'm only here for today, and I'll be walking around, so please come and have conversations. Thank you.